Should you try to desire more or less? So I started getting into personal development when I was a teenager. The first blog I found was Steve Pavlina, and Steve Pavlina in those days wasn't even a personal development blogger. He was just making video games and running an online business. And this idea that you could run an online business and just do that for your whole living just it inspired me at the time. And from that entry point, I got into personal development. I read the classic people like Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins and Brian Tracy, and I got motivated by the idea that you should cultivate a burning desire for your goals, set clear targets, and strive to work after them. That this motivation to achieve something is good and that you should try to cultivate it more. Now, more recently, I've been reading more from other writers, Stoics, Buddhists, Taoists, and they argue a very different perspective on life. The Buddha argues that craving, this sort of same thing that I was trying to cultivate, is the root of your suffering. That desiring what is not here right now is the thing that makes you unhappy. And so it's clear that these two ideas deeply contradict. One is arguing that you should set goals, have ambitions, motivate yourself, and seek to achieve them. And the other is saying that it is these very tethers that you have towards your ideas of what life should be like that makes you unhappy. So how do you reconcile these? Well, I think that it's kind of paradoxical. I don't actually think that the answer is that one is right and the other is wrong. I think that on the one hand, that if it was okay for perhaps the Buddha or one of these people to sit in the zazen posture and just meditate all day and abandon all craving, I don't personally feel that that's what the value of life is, that renouncing life in the hopes that in some afterlife or in some sort of karmic cessation that you will achieve this kind of bliss is itself something that should be the main thrust or motivation of your life. But at the same time, I'm aware that this constant pursuit of desires, constant goal setting and achievement, that there's also a deeper fallacy there if you believe that by doing all these things, by reaching all your goals, by achieving everything that you set out for, that you will necessarily be perpetually happy in this state of bliss. And I think this is something that a lot of people fall into a trap of, and I think it can lead to even worse feelings than before. Because of course, if you are enduring some pain right now and you believe that, well, once I achieve this, or once I get this, or once I reach that destination that I'm striving for, that all these negative feelings will go away. And when they don't, now you're in a double bind, because not only do you still have these negative feelings that you must cope with, but you also feel worse because now you don't have a clear idea of what you should do to get rid of them. So I'm sort of the belief that it's not actually the case that what you need to do in life needs to be completely straightforward and obvious. That it might be the case that the true wisdom in life is somewhat paradoxical, and that striving and seeking out to achieve things, even if those things are not materialistic, greedy desires, but things to benefit mankind or benefit other people, or are noble desires that you really should cultivate, that even if you are achieving those things, that the striving and feelings you attach from them must also be empty in a certain way, that they must also be things that you have to learn to detach from and recognize that in the end they are not necessarily going to fill you up in the way that you hope that they will. So this is an important question, and I think it's one that if you follow certain streams of thought, you will get one answer, and if you follow certain streams of thought, you'll get the complete opposite answer. But my own personal feeling is that they're both right in a way that is kind of difficult to understand. So I want to know your thoughts. Do you personally right now strive to increase your desires for your goals, to increase your ambitions and set bigger targets? Or do you see yourself as trying to diminish the things that you're asking from life and to be more accepting and tolerant, and also to be more pleasant and equanimous in what is going on? I'm very interested to hear what you think in these comments. I certainly don't have the answer, but I've given my thoughts at what might be my perspective starting out right now.